So hello everyone, welcome to another video, and today I invite you to join me on my journey through Raid Shadow Legends. Now, first of all, I just want to say that this video is not sponsored. I know Raid Shadow Legends is an absolute meme of a game, because everyone and their mum has done a sponsored bit for Raid Shadow Legends. Hell, even I have been approached by the people behind Raid Shadow Legends to do a sponsored ad for them on my main channel. But this is not that. I was genuinely curious what Raid Shadow Legends is all about and whether or not it's actually fun to play, because I, like you, have seen many ads for Raid Shadow Legends, and when I didn't just straight up skip over the ad, I understood precisely nothing. I was like, well, this looks like an auto battling kind of game where you collect heroes and upgrade them to fight mighty battles. Everything else they were talking about was just like blah 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 blah. This is most likely just a set of bullet points that were given to them by someone else. So today my curiosity finally got the better of me, and I downloaded Raid Shadow Legends for my PC and my phone for free because, well, the game is free. So what is Raid Shadow Legends all about? Well, it's basically just a fairly straightforward hero collection game. So you collect heroes through various means, you upgrade those heroes, you equip them with different gear, then you assemble them into a party and you go out on adventures and you fight ad nauseum. That's pretty much the game in a nutshell. Now, there are like two ways in which you can play Raid Shadow Legends. There is active combat, where you actually go through the heroes one by one, you select which ability you want them to use and then which enemy or ally, if it's a buff, you want to use it on, and auto combat, where you simply click the auto button at the bottom left corner of the screen and the game will do everything for you, which is what I'll be doing and how I imagine most people play the game. Now, this is a free mobile game, so it has, as you would expect, a fairly extensive microtransaction shop, but I'm not gonna use it because I want to see how far I can get or if the game is even playable without buying stuff with real money, because so far the game has really tried its best to make me buy stuff. It bombarded me with this kind of bullshit every step of the way. So when I first got into the game, I played through a fairly short tutorial that introduced a lot of the basic features very well. It didn't bombard me with too much stuff all at once, so I actually understood what I was supposed to be doing. Now, honestly, I didn't expect the game to look quite as good as it does. I expected it to look a bit like us on PC since it's a mobile game, but the game doesn't actually look half bad. And I also kind of like the design of stuff. Yes, the elf archer that I have looks utterly ridiculous in her freaking battle thong, but the other hero that I actually chose as my starting hero looks very nice. It's just a lady in a knightly looking armor. The armor is so good, in fact, they had to remove her helmet to let you know that, oi, this is actually a lady fighter, not just a burly dude in a tin can. I approve of this, though I would prefer her to wear a helmet. It is a bit ridiculous that she is not wearing a helmet. Now, in the beginning, the battles are extremely straightforward. You're only gonna have two dudes and you're gonna be fighting two dudes. But it does ramp up over time. The progression does actually feel pretty nice. You get new heroes, you get new gear, you get introduced to new systems, and generally the game guides you through the early game pretty well. The thing that honestly confused me the most was getting all the rewards, like the achievements and the daily and the weekly and the monthly stuff, and then the free stuff the game throws in, and it's just, sometimes it can be a little bit too much, but you know, as long as you follow the red dots, you're gonna be fine. So just click on anything that has a red dot next to it, because you will most likely get something in return. Or, like in the case of this portal, it's something you're supposed to be doing or supposed to be learning about. Now, after a little bit of time, I made my way to the first boss, and it was actually a pretty cool boss. I, of course, used the auto battle system and just sat back and enjoyed the spectacle, but it was still a pretty cool boss. Once I defeated the boss, there was actually a little bit of story, because, believe it or not, this game actually has a story that you go through as you play through the campaign. Now, the victory of the boss also gave me a new hero as well as a full set of armor. Now, as far as I understand, the way armor works is it's split into sets, and each set comes with 2 pieces, and you can have 3 sets at any given time. So at this point, what I understood about gearing was, okay, I can either equip a hero with like 6 pieces of a defensive set and get 3 defensive set pieces, or like 2 defensive pieces to get 1 defensive set, with like 2 offensive pieces to get an offensive set bonus, and mix and match it basically. I also didn't know whether or not I should be mindful about what I equip on whom, because unequipping gear actually costs silver, and I didn't know if that was going to be a problem in the future. So all in all, the Cairo Castle, which is the first campaign area was pretty cool, I thought, and I was ready to move on to the second area, which were the sewers of Arnok. So I assembled my party and ventured forth into the sewers. At this point, the fight started to get a little bit more interesting, but it was mainly because I had 4 fighters against 4 fighters rather than just 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3. However, this was also the time where I started to piss around a little bit. I got another hero, which was another lady knight, in this case with a lovely ringmail coif over her head and a pretty cool looking sword, nothing too big, just the right size. And I decided that what I'm going to do is to assemble an army of lady knights and go on a crusade. Why, you might ask? Well, why not? But my newest hero was a little bit underleveled, so I finally used the tavern and fused other heroes into her to increase her level. And this is basically what you do in the tavern. You use other heroes and a bunch of other stuff to upgrade the heroes you already have. And there is once again a tutorial that explains everything pretty well. And with my heroes up to speed, I made my way to the end of the sewers and fought the boss, which was once again pretty cool. This one was even accompanied by 2 smaller guys. I listened to another bit of the story, and I was ready to go to the Catacombs of Narbok, which also came with a little bit of a story. Now this once again changed up the tile set, and I kind of liking the background tile sets as well as the type of enemy I was fighting, so while it was more of the same, it was different enough. Now while I was doing this, I leveled up to level 12 and finally managed to unlock Classic Arena, which is the game's PvP. And a little bit after that, I leveled up again and managed to unlock the Great Hall. Now this also has to do with the PvP. It's basically the second part of the PvP. You earn medals by doing PvP and then you spend them in the Great Hall to upgrade your dudes. And even though I wasn't very interested in playing PvP, I was mostly in this for the PvE experience. I was like, what the hell, let's just try it. And surprisingly enough, I did actually manage to win my first fight, even with just auto battle. And that rewarded me with a bronze medal, though if I want to get some of the upgrades from the Great Hall, I would have to do this much more. But for the time being, I wasn't really very interested in doing any more PvP, so I went back to the Catacombs and finally fought the boss, and I just about made it. This is where the game started to get a little bit more difficult. It was nothing too crazy, but the boss was healing and it also had 2 other dudes with it, and once I killed the boss, there was a little bit more story once again. It kind of just explains how you get from one place to another and what happens in between the fights. Now, while I was going through the Catacombs, one of my champions, the ringmail Koiflady, the sister militant, reached her maximum level, which was 10 since she was only a 1-star hero, so I decided to go back into the tavern and upgrade her to a 2-star hero so her maximum level goes up to 20. I'm pretty sure this was not a good call and it's dumb, but I don't care. I need her for my crusade. And with the ringmail Koiflady now being a 2-star hero, I ventured forth into the Durham Forest. This once again provided a nice change of scenery, and it also spiced up the enemies because they were far more difficult than the enemies I fought before. I actually just straight up lost for the first time here. I got absolutely annihilated in the second fight in round 3, as you can see over here. But I'm pretty sure it was just because I was rushing too much and my heroes ended up being too underleveled for that fight. So I actually went back to the previous fights and I decided to 3-star some of them to get some additional rewards while leveling my heroes at the same time. And I also decided to give dungeons a shot because you can have a ton of heroes in them and you get quite a bit of XP, as well as some very specific rewards that you can use to upgrade your heroes in various different ways. Plus, every dungeon has a cool boss at the end and it was kind of nice to watch. So after leveling up a little bit, I went back to the Durham Forest and actually managed to fight through this time. And by doing that, I actually leveled up again and unlocked the Sparring Pit, which is kind of like an area where you can put a hero that you're not actively using and it will slowly auto-level it over time. And that was pretty much it for the Durham Forest. Now, it of course had a cool boss at the end, probably my favorite one thus far. It was like a big poison dragon that was spitting poison everywhere. This one was really cool, I liked it. Then I got another piece of the story, and then it was time to head over to Felwins Gate, which was chapter 5, which once again came with a bit of a story. Now here I barely managed to squeeze by the first fight, but the second one absolutely wiped the floor with me. But this time around I decided to level up my gear instead of my characters, because my characters were actually over-leveled since I did a bit of grinding before I fought the previous boss. This is something I haven't done up until now, but it made sense because my dudes were way over-leveled, but they were doing too little damage and they were taking too much. So I was like, well, either I have the wrong gear or the gear I have needs to be upgraded. And it seems that I was either correct or I upgraded my gear so much I kind of just overgeared it, because I was just about able to kill the boss even though my characters were a little bit under-leveled. Then, surprise surprise, came another bit of the story, but before I head into the next area, I decided to grind my heroes up a little bit because they were under-leveled, and I managed to get enough stars to get my first ancient shards, which allows you to summon a rare epic or a legendary champion. And of course, I rolled rare. Now the next place, the Palace of Aravia, which was chapter 6, was pretty rough. I was just about able to squeeze through the first fight, but the second fight was pretty tough. So I decided to go back to the previous boss and experiment with the multi-battle. Now this is a system where you set up a set of parameters like I want to cycle heroes in and out if they reach maximum rank, or I want to sell this kind of gear because it's not worth my time. You set a number of times you want to do a battle and the game will do it over and over and over again. It is limited though. I only had 30 available and I was like, well, either they will reset daily or I'll be able to buy them from the shop, which I'm not gonna do, so what the hell, let's just go for it. And while I was doing that, I actually unlocked the market, which is, well, a market that resets every hour, or you can force reset it with a few gems, and it has some random stuff in it. After doing a bunch of the multi-battles and leveling my dudes and getting a bunch of stuff, I was just about able to squeeze past the last boss. But that's mainly because her attacks weren't very effective, so I was slowly able to whittle her down with my party leader. I got another bit of the story and I was ready to move on to chapter 7, the Tillshire. And this was actually not too bad, since I leveled my dudes a bunch and I upgraded their gear and I got a ton of stuff from doing the multi-battle, so even though a lot of the enemies, or even all the enemies at this point, were 4-star champions, I was still blasting through them with my 3-star dudes. So I pushed all the way to the last boss, killed him very easily, I might add. This was definitely one of the easier bosses that I had fought so far, and I was ready to move on once again. Now the next area to be was chapter 8, the Valdemar Strait, and this one was pretty cool because it actually took place on a boat. Now this area was something that I really wanted to farm out because it had a lifesteal set, which was actually the first 4-piece set that I found, and if your champion has 4 pieces of this set, they heal for 30% of the damage they do, which is pretty cool. And it also had some pretty cool champions as a miscellaneous drop. So even though I didn't really need to grind up my heroes too much, I've spent some time in here, I maxed them out at level 30 and I grinded a few sets. And while the final boss, who was a lich, was healing quite a bit, I was able to kill him fairly easily. And after that, I headed over to the Deadlands. And I got stuck because while the basic battles that lead up to the boss were pretty easy, and I even upgraded one of my champions, my first champion, the party leader, up to 4 stars, the final boss is a big dragon that does a lot of damage and I just can't kill him right now. Now, I'm fairly certain there's something I could buy in the shop to help me through this. Hell, I think I saw some gear in there and maybe even some ways of summoning stronger champions, but I'm not gonna do it. I wanna see if I can make it all the way to the end game without spending any money. So that's where we're gonna stop for the time being. I'm gonna do some grinding off camera to see if I can get some other heroes up to 4 stars so they're not stuck at level 30. And we're gonna see how it goes in the next video. Now, so far, believe it or not, I'm actually having fun. I'm enjoying this. I like these kinds of auto-battling games, and this is definitely one of the better ones that I've played so far. But you have to bear in mind that I'm not a very competitive person, so I don't really care about the stuff you can get from the shop because I'm just not gonna use it. All I want is just a bit of fun, and so far I've had a decent amount of fun actually. If, however, you are a very competitive person and you're very sensitive to pay-to-win elements, you shouldn't be anywhere near this game because there is plenty. But then again, I don't actually know what it's like at the end game and how much of an effect it has, so I'm gonna finish the campaign. We're gonna get into some of those systems in the next video, hopefully. But for the time being, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.